What kind of advice would you give them if they're starting out fresh?
Get a mentor, somebody that has done what you want to do, follow in their footsteps.
Yep.
Spending time just, trying to live like the person that they're trying to become. Stop trying to be the best and be the best at getting better.
What do you feel the difference is, like 20 years ago from then to like now? What's the biggest difference in the industry?
Oh man, if I only did this like 10 years ago, it would have been about like...
What are you going to miss about this building? Like, this could be the last time you're here. What do you think you're going to miss the most about it? What's happening, guys? Welcome to Motivation Theory. We have a very special episode today. So this is the podcast that helps create motivation for you guys and gives you tactics to be the best version of yourself. Today we are here with Richard Collins. Firstly, Richard, if you can give us like a 30-second breakdown of who you are and where we are today in this building, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, so my name is Richard. I've been a online coach, strength conditioning coach, personal trainer for... I'm going to say 18 years now. It might actually be 19 now. And I've been working in the fitness industry with general population, body composition, bodybuilding, basketball, AFL. So I've just been coaching for the better part of 2 decades now. So, yeah.
It's a long time.
It's a very long time,
Long time. So where are we today, Richard? What does this building mean to you, and why are we in this empty warehouse?
So we are in this empty warehouse, which to me still is the premises for the Physique Code, which is a gym that we had for close to 10 years as a private studio where we ran one-on-one personal training sessions. So very special place. It looks a little bit different.
Beautiful. We're going to rewind a little bit and step a bit further back. So what kind of sparked your interest to become a coach? Like, where did that come from?
So I used to play quite a high level of basketball, and as the level got higher, going through sort of 16 to 20, I was having to go do the strength and conditioning sessions for it, and I just sort of developed a love for it. And then when my basketball career came to an end, I still stayed within the gym. I really, really enjoyed it. I was always quite good at PE in school. So I jumped in and did the diploma of sport development. And my original goal was to just go into strength and conditioning. Then somehow I kind of weaved my way into body composition, general population, as well as sports. So yeah, I sort of I fell in love with it from a sporting point of view, and then obviously studied it, and then moved across into coaching and yeah.
Bodybuilding as well.
Here we are now, yeah.
Beautiful. I want to say as well, so one thing, I saw the photo of you on Instagram in the building here, and you're standing on your own, and like got kind of emotional looking at that. I got excited for you as well, but then emotional. So it's such a cool thing coming here to do this as like the last send-off for you in this building. It's quite a special podcast today.
Yeah, it is.
What I want to ask you as well, so going back to Physique Code, what sort of started that off for you guys?
Yeah, so myself and Alice, originally what had happened was we had separate businesses, and I really didn't enjoy doing nutrition, and Alice didn't enjoy doing training. She was very, very good at nutrition. I was very, very good with the training side of things. And then we ended up just linking up, and she was taking the nutrition for some of my clients, and then I was taking the training, and we were just sort of like working together with clients. We were both at different commercial gyms. And then we developed something called Strength Camp, which was a group training session where, we had nutrition for body composition plus strength training. It just absolutely took off. And we ended up just saving all of the money from that. And it got to a point where we were like, we should just put it all under one roof. And that's how Physique Code became. So it actually started because of a group training class.
That's awesome. I did not know that. So that's really cool.
Yeah.
I love that you definitely do a lot of nutrition these days. Have you found like a new love for it now?
It's a necessity. It's a learned necessity. I do enjoy it. I probably enjoy it now more that I've studied it, and I've gotten a lot better at it. And then, I think doing nutrition for some of the sports athletes sometimes is a little bit more difficult than body composition, because when we're looking at body composition, it's obviously such a huge element in terms of, their primary goal. Whereas in the strength and conditioning world, it's a little bit more, it's the skills of the sport or the gym or whatnot, they tend to prioritize and kind of push nutrition to the back. They shouldn't, but they do. So I think doing nutrition in body composition for me is a lot more rewarding than doing nutrition in the strength and conditioning world.
I was going to say as well, because I guess body composition, they're seeing reward every week or so. They're like, oh, it's working. Whereas if they're doing it for like a certain sport and that, they might not see the same benefits straight off the bat.
Correct.
But it's very important for that world as well.
But you also never have to underestimate, everybody wants to look better. Doesn't matter
Exactly.
if they're general population, if they're playing basketball, football, anything like that. Like, everybody wants to look better.
Got to look the part, 100%. I love this question as well. So what sort of mistakes do you feel you've made in business, if you can share some with us?
Yeah, well, hindsight's kind of 20/20, isn't it? Like, there's so many things that like I look at now that I'm like, we probably could have done this better. But then I also kind of go back and look at it and say, like, a lot of the stuff that we've done has been, what we might look at and say, we could have done this better. But it's actually led us to where we are now. So it's
learning from the mistakes,
yeah,
basically.
it's a tough one. So I don't know if we do a great deal. I don't know if we do a great deal different. I think maybe we could have sort of, knowing the market now, if we knew it back then, we probably would have lent into group training a little bit more, which probably could have been good for us, which we didn't do. But yeah, I mean, like, I think it's those things where I look back and I'm like, man, we should have done this, but then that led to something else that led to something else that got us, something bigger. So it's one of those things where it's like, we wouldn't have known how to do this if we didn't mess up on that. So yeah, it's an interesting.
We definitely have that as well, quite a bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Learn from the mistakes, basically,
It's
always.
the best way to learn, experience.
We are going to go into the coaching questions now as well with Crystal. Got a couple questions.
So this is something that you said to me last year. You said last year was a year of yes for you, where whatever kind of opportunity that came your way, you didn't second guess it. You just said yes to it. Like, I don't care where it takes me or what happens, if it's good, bad, like, I'm just going to say yes to it. From a mindset point of view, for someone who might be questioning certain things and a bit scared of getting out of their comfort zone, like, what advice would you give them with saying yes? And what did saying yes last year kind of open up for you?
Yeah, I think, it's a great segue from the last question, because experience is always going to be your best teacher. And I think there's a lot of things that I was not comfortable, maybe previously wouldn't have been comfortable doing, that I just sort of threw myself into. Yeah. And I just sort of said, like, I don't have a choice now, I have to do it. So
could you give some examples?
Yeah, just some of the, traveling to Adelaide to do, workshops, or traveling around and doing that. Going to different bodybuilding shows around the world where I usually probably wouldn't have gone, but being able to sort of travel, go, and just like, yep, I'll figure out everything else on the way. I'm just going to book the flights and I'm going to go. And then just sort of reaching out to people for potential mentoring, and we ended up getting the RP crew over here, which led to a whole bunch of, and Broderick Chavez, which led to a whole bunch of really amazing seminars for the whole industry to be able to do, and just so just things like that, where I was just sort of like, you know what, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
We had judging in India and Dubai, where one of my good friends, Joey Callan, had just said, you haven't judged for a while, but do you want to come over to Dubai and do some judging? And it was like a week's notice.
I love that.
Done. I'm there. So just went straight over, and then that opened up doors that allowed me to go judge in India and meet so many people and things like that. Yeah. So it's something that, like, coming out of your comfort zone is really important, and sometimes you have the ability to actually do what it is you're going to do, but if your limiting thoughts will pull you back, you may miss opportunities.
Absolutely.
And something that I've always sort of said is, like, with there's the harder you work, the luckier you get, but at the same time, you also have to take advantage of the opportunities that come your way, because I think there's a lot of people that do get opportunities come their way, and then they sort of pull themselves back a little bit and don't capitalize on it. 100%. So self-sabotage. So for last year, I was just like, you know what, like, I'll do it and figure the rest out later. And I think, in the last 2 years, I've probably had the most growth as a coach that I've had 100%. Just by doing that. So I did say it was last year I was going to do that. It has continued on to this year.
Yeah,
definitely.
okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like that.
It's a lot of fun. Yeah.
And at any point, did you have any thoughts where you were like, doubting yourself, like imposter syndrome kind of came in and you're like, fuck, is this too much? Or did that come up for you? And if it did, what did you do to kind of like, just keep saying yes, keep pushing through, keep trying?
Every single day.
Yeah.
Non-stop. Yeah. Even with the mentoring that I'm starting to do a little bit more of now, I'm still saying the same sort of thing. Yeah. It's just a whole bunch of, looking at it and going, should I actually do this? Will they actually buy it? Do they actually, sort of thing. So, and I think, like, a lot of it comes down to, leaning off people that you know have done it and asking for help and stuff like that. So I've got a lot of mentors myself that I, constantly reach out to and be like, hey, I have a question, and, just putting myself out there, trying to get help from stuff like that. So not trying to, I think one of the biggest things you can do is not trying to just sort of put everything on yourself, and then because it can kind of feel like everything's sort of collapsing in on you.
Correct.
You feel a little bit isolated. Whereas, when you have great networks around you, it's, everybody's there to help you. If you ask someone for advice, then, everybody's happy to give advice.
Yeah.
So, it's something that, I've leaned into a lot in the last couple of years, and just being like, hey, I've got a question. Can you help me out with this? I don't actually know the answer. And yeah.
That's usually us asking you
I
questions.
know. I'm like that with my clients. I'm like, Richard, I need help.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but, it's always going to be there to help people, so.
I think that's one of the greatest things that I do like about you, as a coach and mentor, is like, you're always there to offer advice and give advice. Like, you're not trying to get something out of it. Like, you're just there, how can I help this person? How can I share my information and stuff? And I think that's one of the things that makes you such a great coach, is because, like, you mentioned before, like, you've got the experience, you've done the groundwork, like, you've put the years in the in-person work, you've worked with clients in person from different ages, sports, teams, like, whatever. And I think that's, one of the benefits for you as to why, you've continued to do so well. And I think, like, what do you kind of feel is different from people starting out in the industry that don't have the experience in the background work and they're kind of just starting out fresh? What kind of advice would you give them if they're starting out fresh and they don't have the background kind of experience that you kind of do have?
Get a mentor.
Yeah.
Straight off the bat, first thing.
Yeah.
Find somebody that has done what you want to do.
Yeah.
And sort of follow in their footsteps. What is that phrase where they say, like, standing on the shoulder of giants or something? What?
Yeah.
Yeah, something, I don't know.
That phrase.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, where it's,
Use someone else's, like,
absolutely.
roadmap.
Absolutely, and find somebody that can help fast track what they've done. And if I could go back on mine, there's so many things I'm like, oh man, if I only did this like 10 years ago, this would have been, but like, but it was my fault that I didn't, try to find mentors earlier and things like that. So that's definitely a huge one, I think, because there's so many things like that you can, you'll come up with situations, and if you try to do it yourself, you may get it. You may get it, but it may take 5 times as long.
Correct.
Or or whatnot. So just being able to have more tools in your tool belt to be able to work with.
I like that. Keep reinvesting and putting back into yourself, with your education and stuff.
Absolutely.
And if you had, like, if there was a client or someone new that was just starting out, or maybe they've been in the industry for a while, like as in like training and things like that, what advice would you kind of give to them to keep them going in the longevity of their vision, their goal, like their body goals, whatever it is? Like, what advice would you give them?
The first thing that I always look at with people is make sure you're enjoying what you're doing.
Yeah.
And I think that, we get so caught up in like with training and stuff like that, where we're like, surpluses, deficits, maintenance, and all those sort of things. And it's like, for the general population, there's a habit phase.
Yeah.
And so many people skip that, and then that's when they go to all or nothing, or that's when they go to, positions where they do really well for 12 weeks, and then they just, because they're running on, that motivation. Yeah. So spending time just, trying to live like the person that they're trying to become, and then have less focus on, success and failures, and potentially like, how many grams are we losing a week, or those sort of things, and just
Obsessing over the results.
and just like just get those habits down pat first, where it's like, let's try to live like a healthier person. Like, let's just spend time building that.
Beautiful.
And I think when you do that, then everything else becomes a lot easier.
I like that.
So for me, it was like, especially coaching with like general populations, where you're going to look at, I try not to go too much into like, the surplus diet, all those sort of things. And it's like, let's just get you eating more nutritious food, get you feeling better, make it easy, just layer things on, over time, get you living like a person that's, relatively healthy. And then once we do that, then we can start looking at everything else, and it gets a little bit easier. So don't neglect habits.
I think that was an issue that we did when we started. back when we started, obviously the gym and stuff as well, we're like, okay, tomorrow you're tracking macros. And it was just like, yeah, I think half the people would not be able to do that.
Yeah.
So we learnt to start to slowly build up, obviously, their habits over time with the lifestyle phase.
Yeah, absolutely.
100%.
Yeah, but we've all done that. Yeah, I mean, it's only natural as well to you know, and it's all with great intention too, and that's the bit that makes it hard, because you know you want to help them, and thinking that you're doing, oh, we're going to do a deficit, we're going to do this, and it's the right thing to do for their specific goal, but it's like it's about, you know, that might be easy for me, but it's not easy for this person. So we need to make sure that, yeah, we're pulling back and we're going, okay, where are they at currently in their life? Like going to bed early and drinking, you know, 1 liter of water a day for this person is going to be a massive change. So let's
massive.
Not drinking a liter of alcohol.
yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Back there.
So yeah, a lot of those sort of things there, and it's like, let's just fix all this stuff first, get them living like a healthy person, and then, you know, the rest of it will be a little bit easier for them, and you know, even if it's not, they're still going to be seeing,
absolutely,
you know, progress in their own, you know, health from doing that. So I think that's something that's really important for people to be
and
able
knowing
to
who
take
you're
on.
working with as well, knowing where they're at, and you know, like what you say, meet someone where they're at, and
Absolutely.
you know, take them to that next step, even if it's one little bit, 1% better, and just slowly building. Once that becomes habitual and they do it, then okay, what's something next that we can kind of add on to?
Correct, absolutely, 100%.
We have so we have like client avatars as well. So how we coach a FIFO boy is completely different by how we coach a mum that's in her 30s with a newborn. It's different lifestyles, so you have to take that into account as well. You need to like know your clients, otherwise you're not going to be able to know how to best help them as well. So that's very important.
Absolutely.
So how would you say, like, where your coaching started and how it's transitioned, and kind of where is it headed at the moment?
Where is it headed at the moment? Ooh, well, I don't know. I kind of go with the flow, Crystal. Like it's a.
He's
you
like,
know,
I'm not releasing anything yet.
No, it's no. I'm more than happy to. But it's just more that, you know, I've gone through so many different phases where, like, you know, I was all sport, and then I was general population bar. I wasn't very good at it when I first started it, but because I was, you know, 20 and I hadn't really.
No life
It was
experience.
hard for me to work with 35-year-olds that had problems that I just didn't know anything about, and it was just very hard for me to do that. And then I moved into body composition and bodybuilding, and then I had a period of bodybuilding where it went really well, and then I started to hate it. And I went, you know, I did a 2 or 3 year stint where I did minimal bodybuilders. I just wasn't taking bodybuilders on.
Yeah.
And I just sort of, the health aspect of it, you know, as I was getting, for myself, like getting older and then seeing people that I know that I grew up with, like getting sick and having health, like, you know, like preventable disease and stuff like that. And I'm like, why the fuck am I teaching bodybuilding? Like, you know what I mean? And they're like, this is what I need to be working on. And then I sort of went through that, and then you kind of merge everything where it's like, okay, cool. Like I can do both. I know I need to, you know, understand where I want to help people, and bodybuilding is not a lifetime thing for a lot of competitive bodybuilding anyway, and, you know, things like.
And would you say your approach to bodybuilding has changed as you've evolved into that field?
It's gotten better as I've gotten more educated, definitely. There's always going to be the element to bodybuilding that's not healthy. And you know, there's just, it's about almost just minimizing risk rather than anything else. But then also, again, coming back to knowing your client and just, you know, trying to be there for their goals as long as they know the risk and rewards.
Correct.
You know, you got to be there to help them, because it's not my goal, it's their goal. So
keeping on the same page the whole time as best you can.
So, you know, there's that, and then I've gone into the mentoring side of things a little bit. So, it's just kind of taking me in different places. Like I don't, if you ask me what I'm going to be doing in 2 years, I couldn't give you an answer. Like, but 2 years ago I would have said the same thing. So, you know, it's just sort of, I've kind of just gone with where it's gone, right?
I like that. I think that's something that I really look up to you about, is that wherever you get pulled, you go. You know, you don't know the answer, you might not have the answer, but you know, you just try different things, and you can from the outside in, you can see how it's shifted and where it's gone and where it's led to you, and the people that it's opened you up to. You know, like you've got clients now that are international, and you know, doing judging different countries and stuff like that. So it's really cool just to have seen how much you've grown and expanded, and where saying yes has kind of taken you.
It's like saying yes, but then listening to the opportunities as they come and just following them as they go.
Yeah,
Just
absolutely.
choosing like what you want to spend your time with.
Yeah, it's fun too. Like we could be sitting here now, and we can go back to this in a year's time, and I could be doing something that didn't even know existed today.
Yeah.
And I might get pulled in that direction a little bit or something like that. So yeah, it's so fun though. But like
Yeah.
I'm really lucky that I have a really good like network of like mentors and colleagues
Yeah.
that I can bounce ideas off, or
Yeah.
if I have a client that needs help with something that I'm not
Yeah.
great in.
Yeah.
I can send them to an expert or something like that, or I can learn off them to come back and
I
do
love
all
that.
those things. So yeah, so it's been good. It's been fun, but yeah, we'll see where it takes me.
I like that. And I think that's something else that I like about you and what you've done is like you've seen where something could be better. Like letting go of this place would have been a big, massive decision and such a shit, is this the right decision? Like it's such a big shift and a change and different change in identity and for yourself as well. But you've just gone with it and you're doing it, So to know that there's something different and better out there for you and to take that leap and that step is amazing. Like it's really cool. Good to see.
And sometimes it's about I said this to someone the other day, and they're like, "How do you know it's the right decision?" And I'm like, "I don't." But I'm gonna find some good in it and
Yeah.
run with it and see what happens.
love
So yeah, it's
You won't know until you try though, so it's like
Yeah.
give it a go.
yeah, exactly
yeah.
right, exactly right.
I'm
I
excited.
like that.
Yeah.
I'm excited for you.
Yeah.
Awesome. So just wanted to ask you as well, like, what do you feel the difference is from like highly successful clients to clients that are not successful? Like, is there like a missing link there somewhere?
So when we're defining, and this is one thing that I'm really big on, like when we're defining success, like are we talking like achieving their goal, or are we talking
Bingo.
Yep,
Definitely
cool.
achieving
Okay.
the goal.
Yeah, so people achieving their goal. I think there's going to be a lot with like the habits is going to be the first one, enjoying the process. I think from a coaching point of view, it's about proper goal setting, and I think that's something that a lot of people sort of neglect. And like we talk about how athletes are individualized and we need to approach them differently, but we also need to make sure we're doing that with goal setting. And I think there's a lot of people that will say like, oh yeah, we're gonna go into a diet phase, so we're gonna try to lose weight right now, which is good, but then like we need to break that down into more daily habits and things like that they can create more wins. And I think that the athletes that are successful tend to be better at that. Like if you can find a routine for the person that's allowing them to win more often, they're generally happier and more excited, and I think that's something that's really important. So I think from an athlete's point of view, when they're creating more wins, they generally are more successful. And we have that whole thing where it's like, well, you have to love what you're doing and whatnot. But I think a lot of people love what they're doing when they're winning. Like people do stuff when they're good at it, right? So, from a coach's point of view, if we can find an environment to put them in where they're winning a lot, they tend to be more successful over the long term.
100%.
And you mentioned as well define success. So obviously you can have someone reach their goal, whether it is Gen Pop or comp, or sport, whatever it is. Have you ever had clients that have reached a goal and not been happy in their success? And if so, how do you manage that, or what do you feel you would give that advice to them? Because to me that would be not so successful for them in that journey.
Yeah. So the thing with like anything physique related or health is the goalpost is always going to be 10 meters in front of you. So I hate to let
Absolutely.
everybody in on this, but
Yeah.
nobody's ever like, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm happy.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist.
When I reach
right?
the goal, then I'll be
It
happy.
doesn't
Nah.
exist. So I think it's about, making sure that you understand that like goals, I like to use the analogy. Anyone that knows me knows I'm an analogy person.
Yeah.
Is like every goal is just a chapter in the book.
Correct, yeah.
And the book doesn't actually end.
Yeah.
Like, it's
Spoiler.
it's a big fucking book.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can get to somewhere, but when you're somebody that's achieving and is successful, you have that mindset where you're going to try to want to continue to achieve.
Yeah,
And it's
yeah.
going to be like it could be going from 120 kilos to 110, and I'll
Yeah.
feel amazing. And it's like,
Yeah.
cool, that'll be our first goal. And it's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
looking at it in that regard and being like cool. Now we have to move on to the next, and going from
Correct.
110 to 100 might take a different approach than going from 120 to 110.
I like
So
that.
it's just about, I always try to explain to people is like, I never sort of say like if they say my ultimate goal is to lose X amount of weight, and
Yeah.
it could be no problems. All right, that's a great a great first goal. and we'll set up a process that will allow us to chase that down, and then we'll see where you are, and we can see what you want to do from there.
I like that. So having a goal beyond the goal and letting people know that I know this is a goal destination for you, that's great, but let's look at the bigger picture and keep forward thinking as well. So once that date's cut off or they've reached that goal, that vision, they're not like, shit, where to now? Like they've actually got that connection to keep going and keep moving forward. Otherwise they get lost after that kind of end goal, that end, thing.
I was going to say as well, so I think it's like when a competitor is in the middle of their season and they're talking about their next season, that's a good sign. They're like enjoying the process and they're thinking about what's the next goal after.
Yeah.
Or when we're competing and we're like, I can't wait to build some strength after this, that's a good sign. You're starting to talk about the next goal. It's very healthy to keep that in mind as well.
And for like general population, like once they've reached, the goal that they thought they'd be at their happiest, I think for Gen Pop, like they do have a big identity around when I reach this goal weight, I'll be the happiest, most confident version of myself, and that's what they think and feel.
If they don't set another goal, they're going to stop though.
Yeah. Or not focusing on how they're feeling now and what they're thinking and saying to themselves during the process, and like kind of tying that to right now where they are versus when they get there. And I think that does help with the longevity of their goal and their vision and stuff as well. And
Absolutely. What's the Steve Magnus phrase that I put on absolutely everything? And it's like, stop trying to be the best and be the best at getting better.
yeah, I love that.
Yeah, so it's always,
1% better.
yeah, there we go. Absolutely.
I'm going to ask this question. This is a really good one. I was really curious to see what you'd say. If you had one piece of advice you're allowed to give someone that's a beginner, what would that advice be?
I would say it's probably going to be something around making sure that everything you're doing is like you're trying to become the person that is your goal. So, there's a lot of people that, I want to look better so I feel more confident, but then they want to continue to live the lifestyle that is, not going to have them
hurting their goals, essentially.
Yeah, so I think it's, before we're looking at a singular number or a goal of a weight or anything like that, we need to make sure that we're, we need to become that person, because there's nobody's walking around that's like shredded with abs that's not living a somewhat
the
healthy
identity
lifestyle.
and the lifestyle.
Yeah.
Yep.
So there are exceptions to the rule, but very few. But yeah, look, I think it's start trying to become the person that you want to be, like body composition wise. Like what does a person like that actually do, and how do they live their life? And then start running around that. I always compare it to like, for coaches, it's like, we all have that thing for marketing with the, create the avatar, have their problems, have that demographic, and then solve their problems on social media content. And it's like, it's so similar, where it's like, have that avatar and then just try to live like that person.
All right, guys, so I've got a question for you as well, Richard, just about the industry. What do you feel the difference is, like 20 years ago from then to like now? What's the biggest difference in the industry?
Everything. Nothing is the same, like not even close. Training is completely different, like the training methods that are used, the nutrition methods that are used now are completely different as well. The way that business is run and conducted, the way trainers are, the way trainers make money, everything, like when I had first started, it was get your certificate 3, then you're as a gym instructor on the floor, and you're walking around and you're picking up equipment and cleaning the gym floors and whatnot.
Trying to talk to the members.
Exactly. And then, you get your Cert 4 and then you're allowed to do PT. And you're paid an hourly rate, whereas nowadays, obviously, to 80% of trainers don't work in gyms anymore, probably more. It's very online based right now. Your marketing 20 years ago was your picture on the wall, and your and how much you were just hanging around in the gym talking to people and getting to know people, whereas now it's obviously with the social media, with Instagram and Facebook and ads and content and everything like that, so it's very, very different.
Is that a good thing, do you think, that's changed so much to the online?
Well, it's allowed a lot more people to make a lot more money. So I do think, and it's given people exposure, and it's giving, it's much easier for somebody to get a coach now. I think there's always going to be good coaches that are better and more caring than people that are sort of just there to make a little bit of money. But I think that's the same in every industry. Like, I don't think you're going to go into any industry that's not like that. But it definitely, health and fitness has more exposure. I'd say the only negative side to that is probably it's a little bit more sexualized than I probably would have imagined it would be. But outside of that, I think, like the access to information, the access to people that will help you to get healthier and lose weight is far more than what it used to be. I would say it's cheaper but inflation, it's probably about the same. Maybe it is a little bit cheaper, but yeah. So I think from that point of view, it's massively changed. I think information is far more readily available for people now.
I was gonna say as well, like it's obviously like us as coaches, it's more about the accountability. The service we give is obviously the product. Whereas before, like it was the information, like we've got ChatGPT, you've got the internet, there's so much information out there that our job now is more about the accountability.
Absolutely.
You've found that as well?
Absolutely, yeah, 100% agree. And I think it's, as I was saying earlier, it's about, it's not about the information, it's about how you're able to translate it to people and how you're able to fit that information into a person's lifestyle. Like, it's what's the old phrase, it's like, losing weight is easy. The actual skills of losing weight is easy, but people are complex. Yeah. So it's, being able to understand how to apply it to a complex person and make it fit into their lifestyle. And I think that's a lot more about, like you said, what coaching is nowadays, because it's not, how do we lose weight? And it's like, let me tell you, carbohydrates are not actually bad. It's like, and it's sort of, those sort of things where nowadays it's like, that information's out everywhere. Every second Instagram post is about that. But like, it's about how can we take that information and how can we as coaches apply it to that person to to work for them so that they can sustainably implement it in their life. And I think you're right, it is a lot more about accountability now than information, because
the psychology behind it all as well. Yeah. Understanding the client,
Absolutely.
Being able to persuade and convince them to believe in what you're trying to teach them.
100%, absolutely.
Yeah. I was going to say as well, so is there any changes that you dislike in the industry from when you first started? Obviously, you said before it's more sexualized than that as well. Is there anything else that comes with a bit of negative?
There is, but then at the same time, like it's a hard one because it's so nuanced and so contextual. Like, I can sit here and say I don't like how much more sexualized it is than it previously was. However, at the same time, it's also making, like females are far more confident now to lift heavier weights, get stronger. They're not scared to eat now. So like sometimes like everything comes with a little bit of good and bad. But I think overall, like when you look at the industry as a whole, like there's always, with change, there's always gonna be some bad things. Yeah. But if we look at it from on the whole, it's like, it's far better than it used to be. I think,
I think women, like in the past 20 years ago, they wanted to be skinny, where now they want to be strong. I think that's a very healthy thing to step into, and their relationship around food is so much better.
Oh, 100%.
Because of the information out there now and what we actually believe.
Absolutely. And I think, when we're looking at like training for, people will say like, oh, it's all about bodybuilding or whatnot, but it's like hypertrophy training is literally one of the healthiest things you can do. Like acquiring muscle tissue is going to be for longevity of life, prevention of disease. So even though like, I think if you take it away from the getting on tent and getting on stage and dieting really hard aspect, like
it's healthy besides that.
Yeah, like bodybuilding, but that's the sport of it, but just bodybuilding training in general, training at a full range of motion where we can, it's going to help with flexibility and these sort of things. It's like, it's very healthy. So I think the fact that it is more normalized is amazing. And I think that's the big thing to take away from it. But, you're always going to get smaller things in there that are a little bit agitating, but it's not, I mean, you got to look at it from a bigger picture point of view. And I think it is, it's definitely moving forward.
Yep. I like the fact that we've got clients in their like 60s, 70s, 80s, and they're doing strength training, and then just them understanding how much better their quality of life is going to be because of that style of training. I think that's a game changer to get more people that are obviously over 50 plus, 60 plus doing this as well.
I think in the next 25 years, you're going to see the most jacked up group of like 60 and 70-year-olds ever.
That's like the goal. That's the goal. That's the objective.
They're going to be like absolute units. So you have to look at it in that regard, and I think it's definitely improving. Yeah.
Awesome.
So if you could sum up like your last 15 years in like one word or one sentence, like what would it be?
sporadic and crazy.
Yeah.
An adventure.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I've always been a really big believer in, like, I know they say, like, you need to find your niche and niche down on it. And I've always, for me personally, just sort of gone, I'm going to let the niche come to me. And I think in the long run, it's helped me a lot. It might not be like an immediate, like, we're making a bunch of money immediately, but it's allowed me to have so many different tools and toolboxes. And, like, when I go back now, sometimes I have, like, bodybuilding clients, or I'll have general population clients that want to lose weight. And I'm taking things that I've learned from training football players and just modifying it a little bit and being like, okay, let's pull this in and let's try this out. And, you know, we always used to have a thing, for example, with, like, the football players, where we had this thing called, like, a 100-point tracker, which was essentially like making sure that they got their recovery right after their games and trainings, and, you know, different exercises they did, like how much sleep they had, water, nutrition was all worth certain points, and the goal was to get to 100. And, you know, like 10 years down the track, I'm like, that's very common in sport. Like, you'll get that at basketball, football, a lot of those things. And, like, I was like, well, why the fuck can't I use that with general population people? I can just modify that. And I can just, now I can give them daily wins. Right? Now I can find ways to make them try to win daily and build on those habits. And so, like, you know, a lot of what I've done, I've been able to just pull little bits and pieces from different areas that I wouldn't normally work in.
I like that.
So yeah, so it's been a ride. Like, I've done so many different things. Like, I've had my coach's hats on in so many different disciplines, so many different demographics of people, and you know, it's been really fun. And like I said earlier to you, you know, if I did in 2 years' time, I could be doing something that I've never even heard of right now. You know? So we'll see. So it has been crazy and sporadic, but it's worked out well so far for me.
I like that. And what's one thing that you would, like, that you know now that you wish you would have told yourself in the beginning?
Outside of getting a mentor early, so we spoke about that before. I think that's definitely the number one. But I also think, oh man, there's so many. Like, just learning psychology of people, I think, is really important. Being, you know, learning how to be a better communicator.
I like that.
Something that I always tell younger trainers now is to, you know, understand worldviews a little bit more, because, you know, it's hard as a 20-year-old to be able to relate to 35-year-olds or 40-year-olds, because you just haven't gone through life yet. So it's hard to, you know, be able to coach them and understand them. So, like, being able to, you know, it's important to learn what's happening in the world and expand what you generally like, so that you can, you know, be able to help more demographics of people and things like that. So probably would have said that. I know one of my previous mentors back in Melbourne, George Mayo, always told me that, you know, personal training is 80% psychology. And I knew it, but I didn't
listen to it.
And like, I understood it, but I just maybe didn't have the maturity to understand how to apply it and what to do with it. So I think, you know, the last 5 years, I've found myself now learning less from coaches in the fitness industry and learning more from, you know, like language coaches or from sports coaches whose job is to take, you know, many different egos in sport and make them work together, and get the most out of them. And it's like, you know, when you start learning and listening to seminars from coaches like that about how to get the most out of people, you're like, this is more applicable, and this is solving more problems for my clientele than knowing how to train the lats in a certain way is, you know? So, like, I find nowadays more, it's like, I wish I could have gone back and learned a lot more about that aspect of coaching, because essentially coaching, like, whether you're a school teacher, coaching a sport, anything, it's all the same thing. Like, we're teaching a discipline and trying to get the most out of someone.
100%.
And that's what school teachers do. That's what everything. So it's like these teachers and coaches in so many different varieties are people that, you know, we should be learning so much from, not necessarily just the hard skills of coaching, but, you know, when you know how to speak and apply to people, apply those, like, simple things to people, then you generally are going to get a far better result. Like, you can get the most out of them. So yeah, I think if I could go back, it would be start, you know, digging in and learning about that aspect, because you're going to,
and collaboration of different people, like, you know, learning from different people and just applying it to your, like, current clients and stuff.
Stepping out of the scope of, like, personal training sometimes can
absolutely.
There's a coach that I'm actually quite good friends with now. His name's Angus Bradley, and he always said that to me, like, even in the last few years, and he's like, your worldviews will dictate how you coach more than you realize. And like,
Yeah.
the more I start, looking at how I'm communicating, I'm like, that's one of the smartest fucking things I've ever heard in my
Yeah.
life. Like, this is so true.
Yeah.
So I would go back and definitely have a look at that side of things as much, if not more, than I would on the training side of things.
I like that. And where's to next for Richard? What's up next for Richard?
Next phase for Richard.
You tell me. I'm not sure. So currently, like, I've got 55 online clients that I'm still working with pretty regularly.
Yeah.
I'm going to go back in and do a little bit of personal training, I think.
Yeah.
I'm just going to have a little bit of a break for a few weeks, and
Yeah,
then
I love that.
and then building in, trying to move into mentoring a little bit,
Yeah.
which is something that I've done for years, but
100%,
I've really just kind of done it not as like a service that I've marketed. I've kind
Yeah.
of just done it for clients, and jump on
Yeah.
a call and we'll sit down and have a chat.
Yeah.
Like, I've done it with you guys as well.
100%. We're always like, we need help, ask Richard.
Yeah, so
The
and
go-to guy.
yeah, and I'm gonna try to dial into that a little bit more, and maybe have a look at doing that on a little bit of a larger scale, which is really exciting because I love doing that. So it's ironic because my mom had always told me, like, growing up, she's like, I think you're going to be a teacher.
Yeah.
So mom always thought I was going to be like a high school teacher, and I was like, PE teacher, high school teacher, and then when I had told her about doing the mentoring,
like,
and
"I
she's
knew
like,
it."
I
I
knew
told
it.
you.
Yeah. 28 years later, I fucking
love
told you.
that.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
knew you were going to do that, and I'm like,
I
wow.
like that.
In a roundabout way, we ended up getting there. So very excited about that. I think I'm also going to try to travel a little bit more.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah.
I think just the last 2 years of what I've learned from
Yeah.
different people in different places, I'm going to really try to dial in on that, because I think that made me a better coach and allowed me to
100%.
help clients a lot more. So I'm going to
100%.
try to spend more time around different cultures of the fitness industry, and see what I can take from it, and just experience how it is for them, and then hopefully bring that back to my clients. And so yeah, I don't have anything, nothing set in stone, but that seems to be working so far.
See
Yeah,
where
absolutely.
saying yes takes you.
Absolutely,
I like
absolutely.
that.
Keep going.
I like that.
Just want to know before we wrap up as well.
Yes.
What are you going to miss about this building? Like, this could be the last time you're here. What do you think you're going to miss the most about it?
The people. I mean, I said this the other day to somebody, and it was like, it's just a warehouse. But I think, for this place, the people that we see in here every single day, the trainers, the clients that come in every single week, I look back at it and all the seminars and everything, I'm really proud that I think this place has pushed WA's fitness industry further than any other gym has in the years that I've lived in Perth. Like, I don't know another gym that's even remotely close to being able to push the fitness industry in a direction that this place did. So, very, very proud of that, very excited. And when I go back and think about that, having all the people come out here and just, having this place that, was able to do that in this little, 125 square meter blue walled building, that we were able to do so much with it. So I think that's been, we're going to miss that definitely, and just being able to see everybody every single day. But I think it'll be the start of something even bigger. So I've just got to always look forward.
I like that. Well, Richard, thank you so much for coming on board with doing this today. It's been an absolute
thanks so much.
pleasure. We look up to you so much, and just appreciate all your advice and what you've done for us in the fitness industry. And
Big things coming from Richard as well.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yep.
Yeah.
Always.
I know. No doubt, man.
Yeah, but I appreciate you guys having me on and coming in here and doing this. It's always this will be a special one for me. So
Yeah, hell yeah.
I really appreciate you guys coming down and getting to go through.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, a little bit of my
We'll let you
crazy
know
career.
the setup process as well.
Yeah, very professional.
We'll finish it. So that is the episode, guys. We'll see you next week. Thank you for tuning in, and this is a very special one today. Hope you enjoy. Awesome. Thanks, Richard.